December 2002, Cologne, Germany. Police raid a nightclub linked to trafficking, extortion, and illegal weapons. One name keeps surfacing: Necati Arabaci. But what came next shocked even seasoned investigators. Despite media outrage, arrests, and international scrutiny, he didn't fall, he climbed higher. This wasn't your typical crime story. Arabaci wasn't just part of the underworld, he was building an empire. From nightclub bouncer to feared mafia boss, he commanded operations while behind bars, survived assassination attempts, and extended his grip into Germany and Turkey. He faced charges, he faced deportation, he faced enemies on both sides of the law. But somehow, he always came out stronger. How does someone become untouchable? Even when the law, rivals, and borders are all against him. This isn't fiction. This is the real story of a man who turned prison into a throne and nearly made himself unstoppable. Get ready. This case will change how you think about crime, power, and the system built to stop both. Necati Arabaci was born in Turkey in 1972, but his formative years were spent in Cologne, Germany, a city where immigrant communities often found themselves on the margins. He grew up in rough, working-class neighborhoods where street survival outweighed school lessons, and gang culture offered structure, money, and power. By his teens, Arabaci had found his calling. Not as a gangster, but as a nightclub bouncer. But this wasn't the kind of bouncer who checked IDs and broke up bar fights. He was the kind who ran the street economy around the clubs. Through sheer force, loyalty, and reputation, Arabaci became the go-to guy when club owners had problems. Whether it was debt collection, territorial disputes, or silencing rivals, he handled it, fast and often violently. By the late 1990s, he had evolved from a muscle for hire into a power broker in Cologne's nightlife underworld. He wasn't just guarding the door, he was controlling what came through it. And yet, he wasn't even 30. But how does a nightclub enforcer go from handling brawls to controlling an entire red light district? By the late 1990s, Necati Arabaci wasn't just working the doors, he was running entire blocks of Cologne's red light district. His empire stretched across prostitution rings, illegal gambling dens, weapons deals, and classic protection rackets. If you operated in his zone, nightclub, brothel, or backroom casino, you paid him, or you got out. Arabaci didn't build alone. He aligned with powerful Turkish gangs, weaving himself into a larger criminal network that gave him manpower, loyalty, and reach. And his rule wasn't quiet. It was marked by extortion, beatings, and fear. Rivals were shut down. Defiance came at a cost, often in blood. But this rise didn't go unnoticed. German police were well aware of his activities. He was flagged, watched, and investigated, yet nothing stuck. Witnesses refused to testify. Victims stayed silent. Arabaci's grip was tighter than handcuffs. Even when they tried raids or arrests, charges would mysteriously collapse, and Arabaci would walk free, untouched, untouchable. He wasn't just building power, he was testing the limits of law enforcement, and winning. So why didn't police stop him? Or did they try and just completely fail? December 2002, the moment law enforcement had been waiting for. German police launched a massive raid, storming multiple properties and businesses linked to Necati Arabaci. Arabaci was finally arrested. The charges? Human trafficking, extortion, illegal weapons, organized crime. It was the kind of list that could bury anyone. In 2004, after a high-profile trial, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. It looked like the end of his empire, but it wasn't. Arabaci didn't lose power. In fact, he kept running his criminal network from inside the prison walls. He issued orders through visitors, lawyers, and secret messages. He settled scores, managed money, and maintained total control, all while locked up. Surveillance later revealed that he had access to phones, contacts, and possibly even complicit insiders. While most inmates served time, Arabaci was tightening his grip on Cologne's underworld. For the police, it was a nightmare. They jailed the body, but not the brain. His influence extended beyond bars, reaching into cities, clubs, and criminal deals across Germany and Turkey. But how do you run a mafia from prison without ever being stopped? While most served time in silence, Necati Arabaci turned prison into his command center. From his cell in Germany, he ran a criminal empire, untouched, undeterred, and fully operational. Through lawyers, visitors, and even sympathetic prison staff, Arabaci sent out orders, business arrangements, money laundering deals, hits on rivals, enemies who crossed him. They still ended up beaten, blackmailed, or dead. all orchestrated from inside prison walls. His power was so intact that phone taps caught him coordinating criminal activities and even negotiating millions in revenue. But prison didn't soften him, it refined him. He became more calculating, less exposed, and nearly impossible to trace directly to violence. The system had locked him in, but not out. By 2006, reports estimated Arabaci was earning over €2 million annually, all while in custody. His cartel was running brothels, extorting businesses, and smuggling arms without interruption. German authorities realized they hadn't stopped a gangster. They'd created a kingpin in confinement. If prison couldn't break him, what did Germany try next? In 2007, after years of frustration, Germany deported Necati Arabaci to Turkey. Authorities thought exile would end his criminal grip, but it backfired. Badly. In Turkey, Arabaci wasn't treated like a threat. He was welcomed like a player, not hunted, respected. Freed from Western surveillance and prison bars, he dove deeper into Turkey's murky power networks. Politicians, ex-military figures, security officials, international mafia circles. What Germany saw as an end was just a new beginning. His operations expanded beyond Cologne into Istanbul, the Balkans, Spain, and Dubai. Now shielded by distance and connections, Arabaci became harder to reach and even harder to touch. German intelligence admitted, "We lost him." Whispers in criminal circles called him the man with 2 passports and 0 weaknesses, a ghost with influence on both sides of the law. He no longer just ran the red light district. He became a broker of global criminal deals, narcotics, arms, trafficking routes. Germany got rid of him. Turkey elevated him. But if the law couldn't stop him in Europe or Turkey, who could? If this story's blowing your mind so far, hit the like button and drop a comment. Let's keep going. After arriving in Turkey, Necati Arabaci didn't lay low. He went bigger, tapping into the country's underworld goldmine. He built alliances with drug cartels from South America, arms dealers across Eastern Europe, nationalist paramilitary groups with deep government ties. He became the go-to middleman, arranging trades, smoothing disputes, and laundering dirty money. His network now stretched from Istanbul to the Balkans, parts of North Africa, and deep into the Middle East. Arabaci expanded into intelligence work, not officially, but in the shadows. He traded in secrets, using wiretaps, dossiers, and blackmail as tools of power. To enemies, he wasn't just a gangster, he was a dangerous asset. And if someone crossed him, they didn't just get hurt, they disappeared. Multiple attempts were made to bring him down, but Turkish authorities seemed hesitant. Some whispered he was too connected to fail. Surveillance showed Arabaci living like a ghost. Phones burned weekly, meetings only in person, and layers of security everywhere. But with so many enemies and power grabs, wasn't his life in danger? Turns out, it absolutely was. By 2013, Necati Arabaci wasn't just a gangster. He was a threat to rivals, politicians, and rival mobs alike. And that's when the bullets started flying. In Istanbul, Arabaci was targeted in a coordinated hit outside a private club. 2 gunmen opened fire, but his convoy was armored. His guards were trained. He walked away untouched. After that, the attempts kept coming. Poisoned food at a meeting, snipers waiting near one of his known villas. Even a car bomb placed under a vehicle. He switched cars last minute. But here's the scary part. Every attacker either failed, was found dead, or simply vanished. Surveillance and intelligence reports showed that Arabaci's protection network was no joke. He had ex-military bodyguards, rotating safe houses, informants inside law enforcement. And rumor has it, he even had friendly agents in Turkish intelligence keeping him warned. After each attempt, Arabaci would send a message, usually through brutal retaliation. Try again, and you won't get another chance. In the criminal world, surviving 1 hit makes you lucky. Surviving 3? That makes you untouchable. He didn't just dodge bullets, he made sure the people who fired them never picked up a weapon again. So how did Arabaci keep surviving everything, including prison, raids, and international hitmen? By now it was clear, Necati Arabaci couldn't be stopped by guns, jail, or even deportation. But why? Here's the real reason. He wasn't just running a mafia. He was running a blackmail empire. Arabaci understood early on that violence has limits. Fear fades. But secrets? They hold power forever. He quietly gathered information on rival gang leaders, local and national politicians, police officials, border agents, judges, and prosecutors. How? wiretaps, bribes, honey traps, insider leaks. But with so many enemies and power grabs, wasn't his life in danger? Turns out, it absolutely was. By 2013, Necati Arabaci wasn't just a gangster. He was a threat to rivals, politicians, and rival mobs alike. And that's when the bullets started flying. And once he had the dirt, he never let it go. He used it when needed, or simply let people know he had it. When violence couldn't silence someone, money did. When money didn't work, he used shame, scandal, and threats. Arabaci didn't just make people fear him, he made them need him. His empire wasn't built on loyalty alone, it was built on leverage. And that's why even law enforcement tread lightly around his name. No one knew what he had, or who he'd use it against. That was his masterstroke. He didn't just build a criminal organization, he built a network of secrets that tied powerful people together in quiet panic. Some say he helped certain politicians win office. Others claim he had tapes that could sink entire police divisions. None of it was ever proven. But everyone acted like it was true. So where is he now? And is he still in control? Stay tuned, because the final chapter isn't about crime or money. It's about power that never needed a throne. After years of surviving prison, deportation, and assassination attempts, Necati Arabaci now lives in near total secrecy. Reports place him in a fortified villa near Antalya, Turkey, a region known for its elite compounds and discreet residents. Surrounded by security, CCTV, and an army of loyal guards, he lives like a ghost with a fortune. He's rarely seen in public, but his influence still echoes. Police wiretaps in Germany, Spain, and the Balkans mention his name. Turkish intelligence considers him a strategic figure in organized crime. His name continues to show up in cartel conversations, arms investigations, and even political scandals. And here's something chilling. Other gang leaders avoid saying his name aloud. They call him the one from Cologne, or simply him. Despite his shadowy presence, he's still officially wanted in parts of Europe. Interpol considers him a person of high regional threat, yet somehow he's never been rearrested. No raids, no court dates, no fresh charges. Why? Because Necati Arabaci doesn't fight power anymore. He became power. He's believed to act more like a broker of information and influence today, connecting cartels, politicians, and intelligence networks. He doesn't pull triggers, he pulls strings. His silence is louder than most people's violence. Some even suspect he's helped take down rival mafias, not through hits, but through tips to authorities, strategically leaked at the perfect moment. Arabaci once said privately, "I don't want to be king. I want to own the throne and let someone else sit in it." That's exactly what he did. So what's the final truth behind his rise to unstoppable power? Because Necati Arabaci didn't just survive the criminal underworld, he rewrote the rules and then vanished into the fog. Necati Arabaci didn't rise by chance. He rose because he understood something most criminals never do. Power isn't loud. It's silent. It doesn't shout in clubs or flash gold in interviews. It hides in secrets, leverage, and loyalty bought with fear. From the very start, Arabaci built slowly, strategically. As a bouncer, he learned who feared who. As a gang boss, he learned what loyalty really cost. In prison, he learned how to command without being seen. In Turkey, he learned that real kings don't sit on thrones. They control who does. While others grabbed headlines, he grabbed influence. While rivals died in flashy wars, he stayed in the shadows, moving through the underworld like smoke through cracks. He didn't need an empire of gold. He needed silence, security, and secrets. He became the man no one could open the door on, because every door answered to him. Arabaci didn't just break the rules of organized crime. He rewrote the playbook, build through fear, but maintain calm. Use prison not as a cage, but a control center. Don't seek fame, seek leverage. If you're always visible, you're always vulnerable. Arabaci didn't fall when the spotlight hit him. He simply stepped deeper into the dark. He became more powerful the less we saw of him. And today, his fingerprints are on systems, not just crime scenes. He's not a fugitive, he's a phantom. So what's the final realization? In a world chasing clout, the real winners are the ones who move in silence and never get caught. Necati Arabaci's story isn't just about crime. It's about the terrifying question: what if silence is stronger than justice? While the world chased headlines and courtroom drama, Arabaci built a kingdom in the shadows where secrets were currency and fear was law. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but somehow he won. Why does his story matter? because it reveals how real power works, not through fame or muscle or even wealth, but through influence, information, and invisibility.